because we've always been considering this. Like I have, I don't know if it'll come through on the screen, but I have, I annoyed my brothers a lot by making us change the name of the game every single time so that I could have. It's not coming through.
No.
But every
Oh
single
my
one of those
God.
little icons is Super Bok Bok Chicken, and then I got a second page of them too. So I've got probably 50 builds of Super Bok Bok Chicken on my phone, scaling back to all the time before we had pooled world gen. So it's like that one does not run. But once we put pooled world gen in, it runs pretty well. So we're already kind of hitting the targets we wanted to, but there's some objects and there's some particle systems and there's some interactions in the game that really make a chug to a halt. We've also found that in older versions, we haven't tested this so much on newer versions, but in older versions of the game on mobile, memory leaks were apparent, and you could be playing for, if you were played for over an hour, things just slowed down for no good reason. So yeah, there's certainly some things we need to fix, but definitely a couple-of-year-old Android, couple-of-year-old iPhone is the target we're going for, and tablets. We want it to work on tablets too because it's nice having a bigger screen. To be honest, you can see the obstacles better.
That was one thing as well, is that you've got a like way bigger resolution on a tablet, like, but often they come with slightly lower specs than your standard phone or like your newish phone. So like trying to get it to work on a tablet at the specs that it has is something that like we've bought some for showcasing at AvCon, and when we went to put it on, it was like, yeah, some of the levels are good, but some of them that have a few more like particle systems or something in there, like they really struggle on those kind of ones. So we'd really need to, just figure that one out. But yeah.
So, what is the actual like process of getting something? Obviously, it's going to be different for Google's apps Play Store, if that's what it's called, and the Apple App Store. Like, what is the process of actually getting something onto that?
Well, we're kind of in the process of doing that, so we can tell you about halfway.
Okay, well, what you've done at least, yeah.
Yeah, so to get it on the phone for Android, it was really simple when we were able to turn our phones into dev mode, because we could plug it into the computer and straight up just play on our Android phones. Like that was cool, because I mean we could test straight away. And Unity makes it super easy to tick like I want to build for Android, and providing you've got UI that works for Android, which was a huge thing that we got into lots of heated discussions about, but we got there. So you need the UI to actually fit and work and scale and all that kind of stuff. But as well as that, to get, not too many, I think you have to use the right render pipeline for Unity and not be using too many resources. You can just get it on there. But we've currently also signed up for a Google account that will let us, a Google developer account. And that lets us go through a couple of phases of testing before we get to launch. Currently, we have a build up that is in a private beta test that hasn't been reviewed by Google, but we are able to download it from the Google Play Store and test on a number of different devices based on email addresses. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of the process for Google. For Apple, we actually, because we signed up to be a company, and we thought, okay, well, we're going to do a company developer account for Apple. And we've had a couple of hurdles to jump through to get to where we are today, because we needed to get a DUNS number. Yeah, do you want to?
No, you got it. Sorry.
We needed to get a DUNS number, and when we signed up as an Australian company, we got one. But Apple didn't recognize it. So we went to the DUNS place. It's like a company in America somewhere, and we went to the lookup to find out what our DUNS number was, and we got it, and we pasted it in the Apple form, and they said, no, that doesn't exist. However, they said, if you fill out this information, you could submit it and go get one. So we're like, sure, why not? Let's do that. So we filled in the form, and that got submitted to the DUNS people, the people who keep track of these numbers. And we got an email back from them saying, you guys already have one. So we thought, okay, no worries. But it did have a little line on it that said some of the details were updated. And I thought, okay, maybe this will help us through. So we went back to Apple again, and we went to go sign up as a developer account again. But we had the same problem. So we contacted Apple support and they said, okay, no worries, we figured it out for you. So they must have had to do something, maybe because we're an Australian company, I don't know. But they had to do something on their end to let us through. And they did, which was really quick. They did it really quickly, so that was lovely. But then we were blocked because we didn't have a @daytimedevs.com email address. We were just using Gmail so far. So we had to sign up for one of them as well. But now we're for review with Apple and pending. So we're not quite sure on the rest of the process yet.
From my understanding, you also need to like demonstrate it works on like at least this was a couple of years ago. You need to like demonstrate it works on different devices. Like you need to show screenshots of it working on like an iPad, on iPhone, things like that. But that was a while ago. The last time I looked at it, I don't know exactly what the process is now.
That stands to reason. I think at my work, other people work on apps as well, and they have to take screenshots of all the different. If they're going for tablet and phone, they take different screenshots for each so that it can appear on the store as the resolution that you, or like the aspect ratio you would expect on your device as well. So yeah, we're likely going to have to do that, but that's okay. We can take screenshots. We had to do that for Steam too. Yeah, and definitely there's a review process involved in both Apple and Google when you want to submit it live. So we need to make sure that it runs well,
right,
and doesn't crash immediately. There was a review process for Steam too, and they told us stuff like, "Oh, your page has too many screenshots of Wesley in the shop. You should put some more screenshots of actual gameplay and stuff like that." And that's really helpful feedback. So we just actioned it.
Let's have a look at your Steam page. Wait, Super Walk. Steam, here we go. Let's see. So
if you want to click that download button on the demo, go right ahead.
So your gameplay trailer is the first one, then you got the rest of them. You got the lava level here.
Yeah.
There's one.
We did change them around. We added them so that I think it's like your first 7 to 10 or something should be more gameplay focused than menu focused. But because we do have unique things in the menus, we were like, we still want to show off that there is like a character on the shop, and stuff like that. And the rascal, in fact, the equipment screen, I think, should also be there. And so things like that, a lot of players that like familiar with those things will be like, oh, okay, they have equipments and stuff, items that you can equip and stuff like that. They'll see that and they'll go, oh, okay, I know what that system is. But yeah, the first 10 need to be gameplay because that's what people are more interested in overall.
I don't think I've ever gone through 10 screenshots.
Yeah. Apparently. Yeah. I suppose you want to get a real good look. You click, spam the click button.
Well, usually if they have a good video as like the first thing, I'll watch the video. That does a good enough job, at least for me. I don't know. Yeah. I guess they have their process they want to go through.
Yeah.
And hey, if that's the process they want, then
that's probably got stats on it that back it up to say that it's the best way to do it. But yeah.
I love these. I love these minimum specs.
Oh yeah.
RX 470. Wait, how do the minimum specs actually work? Are those something you guys had to like sort of estimate, or like what's the deal there?
We just chose the computer we had that had the lowest specs and played it on that and was like, oh, it's playable, we'll just chuck them. It wasn't that the process? I'm pretty sure
that's kind of, yeah. Okay. In terms of the Mac specs, is that the Mac specs?
I see the minimum here. It's the i5 6300, Intel graphics 520, 4 gigs RAM, Windows 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an old Surface that I used to use, and we just had it lying around. We said, let's chuck Book on there, and it worked. So we're like,
yeah. Huh, okay. The Mac specs are a little bit different because we don't have a whole lot of Macs sitting around. We had to buy one,
the Mac specs,
and then the current one is pretty decent, so we didn't want to use those specs because it probably would play on something. Well, we have 2 Macs. One's got like 4 gigs of RAM, and one's got 16. So we can't put the 16, but the 4 one doesn't run at that like. It's playable, but it's you probably wouldn't recommend it to someone to play on those specs.
You might want to update your specs. It says it says recommended 8 megabytes of RAM on the Mac side.
Ooh. Yeah, we do need to update that.
Yeah, okay. Yes, thank you.
Also, 8
Well, I
megabytes
mean,
of
like-
RAM and 1 megabyte of available storage.
Yeah.
That's a unit
MB,
problem right there.
GB, they're all the same.
I see what happened here. You just someone
Yeah.
just chose the wrong thing.
Well, I mean, like we're all well, some of us, not so much. Luke as much. He's a little bit younger, but like Alex and I, we were making. We used to put computers together that had like 512 megabytes of RAM in it, you know, like or even like 128 and stuff. We were putting those together when we were kids.
I'm surprised they
so
didn't.
We remember those days.
I'm surprised they did. Like, no one was like, "Hey guys, that's like." I would think someone would notice
Interesting,
that in
yeah.
review process. Like 1 megabyte of recommended storage.
Not enough Mac gamers out there, clearly.
Like the fact that your recommended is lower than your minimum. Like surely that
Yeah.
throws something off.
yeah.
Like that seems like something you would have in like an automated system.
Yeah,
I
true.
guess not.